Would Jerry Lewis have trouble letting go of the past? Zero, just gossip? Comment below. The post will evoke powerful emotions. Let's revisit one of show business's most stunning breakups and its decades-long fallout. In the 1940s and 1950s, Martin and Lewis ruled nightclubs, movie theaters, and radio stations. Despite laughs, tensions rose. The hyperactive clown was Jerry Lewis. Dean Martin sings carefreely. Jerry grabbed artistic control, making Dean feel like a second fiddle in a circus. After separating in 1906, they married. That was bad. Their last conversation was 20 years ago. It was surprising what happened next. Jerry used his behind-the-scenes contacts to keep Dean from gaining bigger roles, producers, and endorsements, according to biographers and friends, especially when Dean went solo. One studio official said Jerry contacted him immediately when he heard Dean was being considered. He seemed to want him out of Hollywood. While Dean developed a solid solo career from the Rat Pack to hit records, Jerry apparently never stopped trying to ruin it. It may have been ego. Heartbreak masked as resentment, say others. Here's the twist. Frank Sinatra's 1906 television show brought them together briefly. The hug and anguish were real. Want more real behind-the-scenes stories about old Hollywood's biggest legends? Click subscribe today. We unite drama, mysteries, and truth. Journey toward humor. In Newark, New Jersey, Jerry Lewis was born on March 16, 1906. His parents, Danny and Ray Levitch, performed. His father played piano and directed while his mother sang and joked on stage. Jerry was raised by two entertainers and was exposed to the profession from birth. But growing up was hard. The Great Depression decimated many families, including Jerry's. Money was tight and the world was confusing. Jerry remained upbeat. He was crazy and loved pranks, of course. Sneaking into kitchens to grab food. This cheerfulness foreshadowed his comedy career. He debuted in the theater at 5. His parents moved him to the Catskills, a Jewish artist hotspot. He sang "Brother, Can You Spare a Dime?" and "Boff" about people's struggles. Not merely a pretty moment. Jerry's first performance was impressive. However, Jerry often stayed home when his parents were on business. Spending time with his grandmother made him lonely. Hidden behind his smile, his loneliness found its way into his humor. 12-year-old Jerry had a strange idea. He created the record act, pretending to sing hit tunes. It wasn't just lip-twitching. He was enormous, funny, and ridiculous in each song. He practiced every action in the mirror for hours. His Hallmark act showcased his already amazing creativity. Jerry decided he didn't want a conventional existence as a teenager. Having fun was his goal. So he quit high school at 15. He took a tremendous risk, but was sincere. Performing in New York City taverns and small theaters was his start. The path was tough. He couldn't be booked for a while after a terrible burlesque show. Jerry supported himself with various occupations. He was a movie theater usher and soda salesman. It wasn't glamorous, but he wouldn't quit. He chased his dream regardless of time. He changed his stage name then. He started as Joey Lewis. This confused other painters, Downer Joey Lewis and Fighter Joe Lewis. He changed his name to Jerry Lewis to fix this. It looked small, but it lasted his whole life. Something transformed his life in comedy in 1905. Jerry performed at NYC's Glass Hat nightclub. He was 23 and young. That's when he saw Dean Martin, a nice, beautiful vocalist 5 years his senior. Jerry subsequently said Dean was the most handsome man he had seen. They met that evening but had no major conversation. Jerry kept thinking about Dean. In the next year, he attended Dean's gigs to become closer. Dean wasn't impressed. He thought Jerry was annoying and overzealous. Everything fell into place in July 1906. Both men were performing at Atlantic City's 500 Club. She could work together or lose her job because the club owner didn't appreciate her solo performances. They did something uncommon with little time to prepare. Jerry mocked Dean's singing during the concert, inciting mayhem. Thrilled audience. That night, something new was made. Jerry and Dean had hit their groove, and the audience laughed. Amdri. Lewis signed a contract in March. That rattled Hollywood. His offer from Paramount Pictures was $10 million plus 60% of 14 pictures released over 7 years. He was the city's highest paid actor. He also obtained creative control, which few others had. He owned his movie and had final edits after 30 years. "I'll give Jerry the match if he burns the studio," declared Paramount CEO Barney Balaban. It was hazardous, but Lewis wanted to prove he could compete. His debut solo picture was 1957's The Delicate Delinquent. It was planned to be a Martin and Lewis picture, but they broke up. Lewis had to rewrite and shoot the film. He spent all night perfecting the sequences. Many thought the picture wouldn't work without Dean Martin to offset Jerry's wild comedy. They were wrong. The film made over $6 million, doubling their previous effort. Critics were shocked. They liked Jerry's performance, especially when Sidney Pythias talks about his importance. Lewis battled to preserve the moment in the film. His goal was more than just making people laugh. Lewis was ready to direct in 1960. Hollywood career and influence. He conceived The Bellboy. Within weeks, he wrote, directed, and shot the picture. Paramount planned to release Cinderfella this summer. But Lewis declined. He wanted this book out around Christmas. He invented The Bellboy to meet a demand. It was recorded at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami using his unique video assist approach. This allowed him to immediately view his recording. Now, every director utilizes them. The Bellboy debuted on the 20th. It made over $10 million and garnered favorable reviews when it premiered in July 1960. A visual humor masterclass. Jerry Lewis became more than famous. He wrote, directed, and produced. Lewis played two characters in Sack, the Mad Professor, in 1903. Buddy Love is a talkative womanizer, while Julius Kelp is shy and awkward. Lewis imagines an actual individual he met, who was frightened and odd. He spent months perfecting Kelp's voice and moves. Attractive nightclub lads inspired Buddy Love. Lewis denied modeling himself after Dean Martin. Transitioning between positions was difficult. Kelp's Buddy Love transformations were physically demanding. The result was worth it. It earned $19 million and became a classic. Critics deemed it a masterpiece. After years, it was added to the National Film Registry, which preserves American cultural films. By the mid-1960s, Jerry Lewis was more than famous. He was powerful. His flicks kept making money. His hits, The Disorderly Orderly and The Patsy, revealed his potency. Around $10 million in 1966, or over $80 million today, was his income. He became one of the nation's richest entertainers. Other actors noticed his actions. His Paramount agreement changed everything. Stars demanded more control and better contracts. The power dynamic in Hollywood changed. Jerry Lewis was noted for his eccentricity, loud voice, and outlandish jokes. However, in 1982, he did something unexpected. No kidding, he played the king of comedy seriously. Nobody plays around here. Robert De Niro plays a desperate fan who pursues Jerry Langford, a cold talk show presenter. It initially confused everybody. Lewis didn't want to laugh. He meant it. Langford appeared fatigued, lonely, and remote, unlike Lewis's exuberant, amusing personas. However, critics saw something radical in this little achievement. Lewis appeared to have removed his mask and revealed his actual identity. The film started poorly but gained popularity. The picture is today considered one of Martin Scorsese's best. How does Lewis fit in? Discussion continues. He didn't just act, he prepared. He watched genuine talk show hosts move, sit, and act off camera to avoid appearing on set. He avoided the cast, including De Niro. He took tremendous measures to prepare for scenes requiring anger. Not everyone on set liked it, and it was hard. But it worked. He gave a genuine personal gift. Lewis stunned everyone again at 69. He performed on Broadway this time. He played Satan Mr. Applegate in Damn Yankees. His audience loved him. He was attractive and lively, danced, sung, and ruled the stage. He didn't just read the text, he improvised and made routine moments special. One night, a patron loudly unwrapped chocolates, which Lewis converted into a hilarious play without changing the script. He earned every bit of his $40,000 weekly show salary. He became agitated after Broadway. The program took him to 50 cities nationwide. He worked long after most of his peers retired. He played Professor Frank's father in The Simpsons at 77. Several years later, at 80, He played a serious part on Law and Order SVU, reminding fans that he was more than a clown. Martin and Lewis predated Hollywood and superstars. Start performing at local East Coast bars. Their location was unknown, but they possessed something extraordinary. Dean Martin kept his cool with a quiet voice and comfortable manner. Jerry Lewis was powerful. He hopped, yelled, made faces, and animated Dean. They were amazing together. People noticed quickly. Within weeks, the clubs were packed. After a few months, they made $5,000 each week, a large sum then. They joined with a reputed entertainment agency and never looked back. Everything happened fast. Radio, nightclub, and sold-out events. They seemed everywhere at once. She delivered a snappy, surprise presentation with music, comedy, and wit. They couldn't get enough. They performed at the Copacabana in New York until 1948. When NBC gave them a radio show in 1949, millions tuned in weekly. Once, Jerry pretended to be a bird to avoid Thanksgiving dinner. Dean stayed back as Jerry raged. The audience adored it. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis's Hollywood rise. They made $15,000 a week from the radio by 1950. Hollywood would eventually contact them. Their first film was My Friend Irma in 1949. It was a great hit. That includes subsequent flicks. In 7 years, they made 16 hits that audiences loved. They had great chemistry and music in their comedies and musicals, a technique that regularly worked. Over $15 million was made by At War with the Army. Also, Living It Up made almost $20 million. These statistics were huge. The consequence was financial success for Paramount Pictures. Their relationship was tough behind the scenes, although they had several successes. Their 1906 NFC picture, Hollywood or Bust, their final, remains a movie office hit. Their connection seems strong on TV, but may fail in real life. They made almost $200 million with their movie. Two individuals who started in little clubs to make people laugh did well. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin were at their best in the early 1950s. They were well known and widespread. People lined up at nightclubs to see her. Fans packed theaters to see their films. They ruled radio and TV. They signed a $35 million NBC contract in 1953, a record. This broadcast deal was unprecedented. They earned $220,000 for one Colgate Comedy Hour appearance. Today, that's $2 million. They performed well and made a lot of money. It was believed that their films, live events, and radio appearances grossed $5 million annually. At the time, the average American household income was $4,400. It would take Martin and Lewis under 24 hours to earn. Plus, other performers joined them on stage. They created York Pictures to make their own films and keep more earnings. Real estate and smart assets were also invested in. Everything they touched bloomed. However, success cost money. Daytime filming and nighttime performances kept them busy, and they moved continually. That drained her. Also, there were backstage tensions. Jerry became more involved with their projects. Unlike Dean, who merely wanted to perform and go home, he valued art and business. Fun faded over time. For Neftzig, 1906 was the breaking point, her career-defining cooperation. They chose separation, a painful choice. After 10 years of delight and prosperity, it ended. It felt like an era ended when they broke up. But their collaboration shaped humor. An unexpected occurrence followed. Their final performance was at the Copacabana in New York City on the 25th. July 1906 for Neftzig, a decade after their first meeting. Jerry got a life-changing call after 2 weeks. Strep throat prevented Judy Garland from performing at the Frontier Hotel in Las Vegas. Jerry was asked to substitute. He had no time or plan to practice. He had only himself and the Garland waiting audience. As he performed, he made things up. He had the crowd laughing for 55 minutes with an improvised song. Last, he sang Rockabye Your Baby with a Dixie tune. He hadn't sung it since childhood. A bizarre turn of events, a standing ovation for him. That night changed everything. The song was recorded 3 days later. It developed. Over 1.40 million copies sold. He published his debut solo album, Jerry Lewis Just Sings. It peaked at number 3 on Billboard and lasted in the top 10 for 16 weeks. Industry observers who thought Jerry Lewis would fail without Dean were startled to hear that he had succeeded in 1959. He had his own fame. Another side emerged decades later. He performed in Max Rose, a somber film about a jazz pianist grieving his wife, at 87 in 2013. This was far from his usual zaniness. Many commentators complimented his performance. Jerry proved his influence despite the film's low box office. He appeared in Nicolas Cage and Elijah Wood's 2016 film, The Trust, his last appearance. He had that spark at 90. He found a unique balance between comedy and seriousness to maintain readers' interest in a minor role. Unexpectedly lengthy and adventurous career ended with a simple but fitting finish. Personal life. His personal life took several unforeseen turns. Jerry married his first wife, Patty Palmer, on October 3, 1944. At 18, he started his career. Over 20 years, they had 6 boys: Gary, Ronald, Scott, Christopher, Anthony, Joseph. The family seemed perfect at first. Their popularity eventually cost them. Due to his busy schedule and work trips, Jerry rarely came home. His prescription medication issue compounded issues. 1956. While his career was booming, he was reported to be having an affair with Marilyn Monroe. Thus, home tension increased. However, Jerry and Patty remained together for years. However, their marriage declined in the late 1970s. Patty divorced after 36 years in 1980. She blamed his dishonesty and overspending. The divorce was finalized in 1983 after 3 years of intense litigation. Jerry remarried a month after his first divorce. He married Las Vegas dancer Sandy Pitnick, his second wife. Even though he was 57, she was 32 years younger. This startled many, but they stayed together. They adopted Danielle Sarah Lewis in 1992 when Jerry was 66. No one expected it, but adoption gave him luck. He often said Danielle energized him. Jerry Lewis persevered. Despite his weakening body, he clung to the spotlight like it was his only lifeline. He was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, age 75, in 2001. Someone whose life was focused on quick speech and loud physical comedy was bitter when the sickness made breathing difficult. Doctors prescribed prednisone. The medicine was effective, yet expensive. Jerry immediately reached 56 pounds. His shoes proved hard to tie. He looked nothing like Jerry many remembered. He continued despite the slim, peppy comedian's absence. His prostate cancer was treated in the 1990s. Most would have slowed. Neither does Jerry. He survived the medication's profound despair. He then revealed suicidal thoughts. However, he proceeded. He died of a heart attack in San Diego in 2006 at 80 and returned to the stage a few months later. He collapsed before a speech in 2012 due to extremely low blood sugar. He resumed his speaking after recuperating. He prepped for the Broadway musical The Nutty Professor the same year. His age was 85. "I must finish what I started," he said. In 2016, Jerry turned 90 with poor health. He struggled to move and frankly discussed his everyday discomfort. However, he attended one last major party in New York, a year later with celebrities and old acquaintances. Starbear died quietly, aged 91, in Las Vegas, where he lived with his family, in August 2017. Legacy of love and faith. Recognition increased fast. Jim Carrey said "I am" because he was a genius. A few weeks later, everything changed. Jerry's will's publication stunned everyone. He made it obvious in 2012 that his 6 sons from his former marriage would receive no money, love, or goodbye. He even tried to prevent the kids from exploiting it. When his son Joseph was mentioned, the story darkened. Joseph originally resembled Jerry most. He was creative, compassionate, and devoted to his father from 1989 till this year. After that, everything fell apart. Joseph called his life with Jerry hell on earth. Jerry tortured his children and never loved them, he said. A betrayal of Jerry. He cut all relations with Joseph after that. No phone calls, visits, or anything else. Joseph fell. He lost everything. Homelessness, mental health, and addiction. Former community member, daily letters to his father. Jerry returned everyone to their rooms without opening. Morphine overdose killed Joseph in 2009. His age was 45, but Jerry didn't pay for the funeral. Joseph did not bargain with his ex-wife. Jerry was implicated by Joseph's brother Gary. He thought Joseph was ostracized by the rejection. When asked about Joseph's death years later, Jerry was cold and uncaring. After selling everything, Jerry bequeathed everything to his second wife, Sandy Pitnick, and their adopted daughter, Danielle. Danielle was his close friend and helped him manage his profession later in life. The will showed that Jerry had a new family, and the old one was gone. After the will was read, Jerry's fifth son, Anthony Lewis, compared it to inserting and twisting a knife. He could bear being cut out, but seeing his children, Jerry's granddaughter, was the most traumatic.